Hello class, so diving right into my prompts. The first one reads, do you agree that selection of a top quality candidate is a critical process in organizations, or do you think intensive training after the person is selected is more valuable? This is an interesting question because I do not think that these are mutually exclusive things. I think you can't have one without the other, and they build off of each other, and there is not one that is more valuable. They are both extremely valuable and extremely imperative, and they function in different ways. They serve different purposes to a point where they're not really comparable. So when you think about the process of vetting candidates, you of course will have a pool of potential candidates, and you want to be able to weed out the ones that just wouldn't fit the match. So of course, you want candidates that have the foundational qualifications, skills, even personality traits that would align with company culture, with organizational goals, and would honestly just be a good example or representation of what an individual who will be successful in this particular industry, work setting, or company environment would look like. So that process is important. And when it comes to finally deciding to hire the candidate that you found was the most qualified for the job and the position, you still have to, regardless of their merit qualifications, you have to still orient them around the company culture, orient them around the organizational goals, and help them to assimilate to become successful. And again, regardless, as they continue on into the journey of this particular company, ongoing training or like learning is always going to be something that should be practiced, because you want the individual to be able to be invested, and you want this individual to grow and continue to provide quality work for the company. So it's not something that ever just like stops, right? So I think they're both extremely valuable, and I don't think you can have one without the other. So with my next prompt, it is, are background checks, including credit checks, criminal history checks, and social media reviews, too invasive? I don't think they're too invasive. Of course, there's always extensions. There's always to an extent that something can become bad. You know, having too much of something is usually not a good thing, right? But I don't think that they are inherently bad. I think that, you know, using social media checks would be a great way for you to vet your candidates, to see how they present themselves professionally, to see how they align with what they were telling you maybe in interviewing processes or like on their resumes, compared to how they're presenting themselves publicly. I don't think that's a terrible thing to look into. Obviously, if you are now using it with already with having your own biases already formed, that could obviously become problematic. As well as with, what was it, criminal history checks. I think it is reasonable to say that as a teacher of a school, a high school, an elementary school, middle school, that teacher should not be a felon. That teacher should not have a criminal background that's on that type of spectrum. I think that's a reasonable thing to look into. Of course, it does maybe depend on your field of what you're going into, but I don't think it's a bad thing automatically to look into it. So yeah, thank you guys.